Now, the monthly Dubbo Regional Council meeting was held in Wellington last night. And on the agenda was a rescission motion from Deputy Mayor Richard Ivey and councillors Matt Wright and Jess Goff on the previous decision to offer up North Bungle Gumby Road and Green Grove as alternative land for the Drug and Alcohol Rehab Centre in Dubbo. Mayor Matthew Dickerson joins us now. Good morning, Mayor.
Well, that's actually not quite correct.
Oh, go on. Please correct me.
So the previous decision was to ask the Western Local Health District to further investigate those two parcels of land you've just mentioned, not to offer them up as such, just to investigate. Can you please investigate these? You've looked at about 19 parcels of land so far. None of those have been suitable, including those two, but can you have another look at those two? So that was the original motion from last month, and then that was the rescission motion related to that particular one.
I appreciate the clarification. So what happened at the meeting last night?
Go back one step from there as well. That was the meeting last month where the decision from council was to say, please have a look at those two. Subsequent to that resolution of council, our CEO sent through a letter to the Western Local Health District and said, here's where our resolution is at. Can we please get together and have a meeting and discuss those two parcels of lands in particular? The CEO of Western New South Wales Local Health District sent back a letter to council and said, well, sure, we can do that, but we've already looked at those and we've already given you the answer on those.
Which is no.
Basically, which is they're not suitable. And so
why aren't they suitable? It's because of is it distance or?
Well, a whole range of things, but again, it's not a council decision. It's a decision within the Western Local Health District. So you'd have to ask Mark Spittle the exact reasons why they're not suitable, but they've chosen a site. Furthermore, they also said, if you want us to investigate these parcels of land, which we've previously investigated, there's going to be a cost involved, and we expect it's only fair that council shares in that cost. We expect to spend at least $100,000 per site to do a full investigation.
And I will say that I'm looking at a document written by Mark Spittle which says exactly that.
That's right. And so there's two parcels of land there, so that'll be $200,000 plus that Western Local Health District will incur. So we expect council to pay half of that if you want us to investigate it. So that would be a $100,000 cost to council. So on the back of all that, which all occurred after the July meeting, after the resolution of council, that's when Councillor Ivey said, well, this doesn't seem like it's going anywhere fast. Let's rescind that last motion and say what we essentially said, which is we've given you lots of parcels of land, you found nothing suitable, but by the way, you're the state government. If you really want a parcel of land, you can compulsorily acquire that parcel of land for a valid purpose.
So does this mean, is council no longer dealing with New South Wales Health on this issue then?
No, we're still dealing with them. We're still meeting with them. We've still got a meeting on the 31st of August to go through and further discuss it. We'll continue to have discussions. They're still going to have to lodge a DA, which won't be lodged with council, but they'll get some advice from council officers around that process. So there's a daily process, if you like, that we are dealing with the state government on a whole range of issues, and this is just one of those things that ticks away.
And this action, is it going to complicate your relationship with them, or you feel like everyone was kind of aware and you're going through some formalities?
Yeah, I don't think there's any real issue there. I've spoken to the Minister, I've spoken to the staff of the Minister, I've spoken to Mark Spittle.
What did the Minister say?
The Minister said, right, let me get onto that for you, Matthew. It was a long, complicated conversation, but basically he said, yes, I'll chase it up for you. But essentially, you've had the Minister on your radio station. What he said to you on radio was essentially the same as he said to me privately, so no big secrets there. The government wants to go ahead with an AOD facility, an alcohol and other drugs facility, rehab facility. There's no doubt about that. They want to progress this. It's been ticking away for a long period of time. They want to progress this quickly because there are people in our community right now, Jess, who are dying, who may not die or whose life would be better if this facility was there. We don't control any of this. We're local government. We control your rubbish being picked up in the morning and your local roads. We don't control health. We don't control an alcohol and other drugs facility. We've been dragged into this for a whole range of different reasons, but we are where we are, so be it. And effectively, we go along and we'll keep dealing with the state government. So I don't think it complicates things. You have conversations like adults and you have agreements and disagreements and you talk about things and you talk through them and you come out the other end and everyone's okay.
Okay, so you did mention that you've got a meeting scheduled for next week with New South Wales Health.
31st of August.
So what happened last night is not going to impact, what will it mean for that next meeting? What's on the agenda?
Well, the discussion probably will be a little bit different because previously, if that rescission motion hadn't have gone through last night, the discussion would have been really about, okay, here's these two parcels of land. We want you to fork up $100,000 to pay for those. Well, hold on, we don't think we should do that. There would have been some discussions around the cost, I'd imagine. And please progress and look at those. Can you look at them in a cheaper way? That discussion will now be, okay, do you have any parcels of land apart from Spears Drive? Because council has still formally resolved to oppose Spears Drive. So our resolution is still that we oppose Spears Drive. We're saying, can you find any other parcels of land? So the discussion will more be around those lines of what other parcels of land are there? Have you looked at everything? What else is suitable? Please, on behalf of the community, we're asking you to change it from Spears Drive. So that'll probably be more the focus of that discussion.
Earlier in the meeting last night, Councillor Black asked if you had had an appointment with the Health Ministry or Regional Health Minister. Did you say that you had met with them since the last meeting?
So that particular one was in relation to, there's a mayoral appointment. So every month, all the appointments I have, all the engagements I have. So you get to appear in my mayoral calendar there, Jess, that I come along and ABC and speak to you. So those various things are in there. And Councillor Black just asked if I'd been to another meeting when I was down at Parliament House, because I had a range of meetings, and there was one there that wasn't in my appointments because it wasn't a formal engagement. It wasn't something where we'd arranged an engagement, put in my calendar. Because
what was it then?
It was a phone call that I got while I was down at Parliament House and said, have you got 10 minutes to come and have a chat? A couple of the minister's advisors. We had a discussion for 10 minutes, myself and the CEO.
What did you discuss?
Oh, obviously the AOD facility.
Yeah.
And basically I reiterated that we have a formal opposition to the Spears Drive location, and can you hurry up and make something happen, because the community is saying we want this facility, we don't want it in Spears Drive. The same message that I've given to anyone about this is that we have a formal opposition to it, but the community also wants it. So you've got those two competing interests. We don't want it at Spears Drive, but we want it as soon as possible. So reiterated that same message, and that was a brief discussion there. Again, it's one of the things that I said last night. If I run into someone down the street and have a 10-minute chat, I don't put that in the calendar. If I'm in Parliament House, which I was, and I ran into 3 or 4 other members of Parliament and I had a 10-minute chat to them, I didn't put that in. That one there, again, wasn't a formal arranged engagement. And my PA goes through my calendar to pick out all those appointments. Then I check all those afterwards. That wasn't in there as a formal appointment, which is why it didn't end up in there. So again, it's not that big a deal in my opinion. It's the mayoral appointments is just something that we do as a courtesy to the community to say what the mayor has done for the last month.
With all the stuff that's been going on with this drug and alcohol rehab centre and the back and forth, and it does feel like we've been talking about it for a very long time, I mean, are you concerned? Have people talked to you about the council's reputation being at stake?
I have not heard that conversation from anyone apart from when we've been at council meetings and it's been in the middle of a debate. No one has come up to me and said, wow, your reputation's being damaged by this process. People come up to me and say, can you fix the roads? People come in and say, what's the fencing doing around Ollie Robbins Oval? No one comes up randomly on the street and asks about this facility. People contact me via email, sure, that's definitely.
So no one's coming up and saying, why isn't it being built yet? We've been talking about it for so long. It's well overdue and people are dying.
I get some emails about the location, not a lot of emails about the location, but I get a lot more correspondence from people via email, via phone calls, just as I walk around the street, from a whole range of other things apart from this, because most people are smart enough to realise this is not a council facility. People often talk to me about things that are council things because they know that council can control that. Why did you make the decision on that? Why did council vote to do this for whatever council facility they were talking about? People talk about those things. Most people understand the state government controls health. The state government will decide where this facility goes. Council will not decide where this facility goes. So because most people are smart enough to work that out, Jess, most people don't talk to me about this because they realise they should be talking to the state government, not local government about this.
Well, I mean, look, the people obviously want it built. I mean, that's the one thing that we can sort of gauge from the community. Where it's built always seems to be the lingering question. I mean, Greg in Nyngan has texted and he says, Dubbo Council want to get on and build this drug rehabilitation centre. All these delays mean people suffering from addiction are left to suffer. Get in and build it.
And see, this is the thing. What he said there is completely wrong. Dubbo Council needs to get in and do this. Dubbo Council can't do this. And that's the thing that has been muddied in this debate. And I would say, Jess, some people have deliberately muddied the debate and said, council needs to do this and council needs to fix this and council, don't let it go in that location. Council has zero control, zero, not a little bit of control, zero control over where the state government will put a facility. The state government outranks local government. The state government will put it where the state government wants to put it.
Look, we are just over a year away from the next local council elections. What are the priorities for the council for the next 12 months?
Well, you've only got to look through our community strategic plan and look at what's happening there. I suppose one of the big priorities that I see really is making sure we get our finances back on track. And they've been suffering, I suppose, a little bit over recent years, and it doesn't help when we get at the last minute the emergency services levy was changed, so that was another $616,000 hit to our bottom line. We can't do anything in the community, Jess, if we aren't financially sustainable. So all the lovely things that we want to do, and there's some fantastic things we're trying to do at the moment. The Wiradjuri Cultural Tourism Centre, we've got the Old Dubbo Jail, the work that's being done at the front there, the fencing around Ollie Robbins Oval that I mentioned previously, the shared walkway, pathway, whole range of physical facilities we want to build. We've got a Regan Park master plan. We want to start ticking off things along there. You can't do any of that if you're not financially sustainable. So that's got to be the number one priority, definitely.
The Wiradjuri Cultural Centre, is there any update on the funding? Because I know that you were relying on state government, other grants and to be able to fund that centre. Has there been any update in that regard?
No update. We've submitted our expression of interest. This is the latest federal government program, a 50-50 program, and so you have to put an expression of interest in first, which we've done, and then they'll assess that at a broad level, and then if the ones that are successful, and this is across the nation, are successful, will then be invited to go to a more detailed expression or detailed submission. So we were still waiting to hear back on that. And I think we've got a pretty good chance on that. Everything stacks up quite well on that one, but again, we have to wait for the federal government.
While I've still got you, I will say, Mayor Dickinson, that in speaking to a lot of people in the community and certainly a lot of Indigenous leaders, something that has been mentioned to me is that they're wondering why Dubbo Regional Council, considering the amount of First Nations people living in the council area, hasn't made any kind of public stance regarding the voice. Do you have anything that you would like to say to the listeners regarding the upcoming voice referendum?
Absolutely. So that was one of the things discussed last night, and an incredibly important thing. This council made a decision some time ago to say we don't think it's appropriate for us to say to our community, vote yes or vote no. We don't think that we should be telling people how to vote in a referendum. The whole idea of a referendum is everyone goes into a voting box and says what they want to do individually. We think we can play a part in education, and that's one of the things that we've been working away on. And last night we resolved that education will look like a range of things, but probably the main thing we'll do is we'll host a panel. We'll have a 4-person panel. We'll get an MC in. We'll have our regional theatre being used for this process, and basically have a panel where it's about the information about the voice, the yes and the no, to make sure people have got information. Education is an important part of it, and also to really encourage people to register to vote. And I know that sounds silly because people have to register to vote for local government elections, federal government elections, everything. But again, this is one of those things that we think it's important that everyone has their chance to have their say in the voice. So this council is not going to take a position, we're going to take an educational position.
Really appreciate your time this morning. Mayor Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council. We'll speak to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Jess.
ABC Western Plains, we are coming up to local news.